2024. And we wanted to bring and showcase the talent that's in our both our organizations. Now, we do have uh, professionals that come in that aren't a groove or they aren't a swing. Uh, but anyway, we just want to show the best in our culture, and we've been fortunate enough to have so many talented and gifted grooves and swings on this program. So we cover everything. It could be music, it could be health, medicine, mental illness, physical illness, business owners, artists, creators, writers, just about anything you can think of, architects, just about anything across the globe. So please share this with your friends. Please share it with your friends. And okay, let's see. Okay, who is this? Okay, this is from Robert Hicks. He won't be on. Okay. But anyway, share this with your friends. We have several ways that they can listen. Wherever you get your favorite podcasts, you can check us out. You can go to the website, studiow.buzz, studiow.buzz, studiow.bzz. Okay. Oh, that's Nakaya. Hey, Nakaya.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Nakaya is joining us from the West Coast. She's one of the panelists, and I want you to meet y'all. I'm not sure whether you know Olivia B. Moore. Now, she's a swing. And
Hola.
Yeah. Hola, yes. I went over spring '04 at Bowie State University. So been a swing for a while. Time flies.
Okay. Congrats. I have been a swing. I graduated at Cal State San Bernardino, and I want to say it was fall 2019.
Okay.
outstanding.
Nice to meet you.
And
Pleasure.
she, this is so much fun. I love doing this program because, Nakaya, before you came on, I was just expressing to Olivia the various professionals that we have on this broadcast. It could be anything from medicine, it could be sports, it could be just about anything because we have our hands in everything. And I just want to
Mhm.
showcase the excellence in our culture. And so let's get started. Um, Olivia, please share with
Yes.
the audience who is Olivia B. Moore and what do you do?
I'm gonna try to keep it short because I feel like, according to other people, I do a lot. But I'm a poet. I'm a mama. I am a business and tech consultant, and I just recently launched a YouTube channel in November where I share poetry, I share lessons, life lessons, and self improvement lessons. Like, just I just share my journey through life through my eyes in hopes that my experiences can help somebody else. The same with my poetry. Most times, if I hop on the phone, even if it's like a business call or tech call, we always end up talking about life and how to navigate through it as best we can. So, in a nutshell, I'm a creator, I'm a lover, and I'm a mama. 'Cause I'm a mama.
I love that.
Yes, so do I. So do I. And we recently on some of my other platforms, I've been talking about mental health, and mental illness, mental wellness, and
Mhm,
you being a reporter, you and I we talked off air earlier today, and I said I'm not a doctor,
mhm.
but if I were to prescribe something that could maybe help out in that arena, then I would recommend music. I would recommend laughter, poetry, good books, good friends, and so forth and so on. Now, professionally, you mentioned something about what you do other than poetry. Kind of give us an in-depth detail of what you do to help people get over their troubles.
Most times it's hopping on the phone. Like, I encourage people to talk.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times when people reach out to me for business consulting or tech consulting, it's never really about their frustrations really aren't about the tech or the business. It's everything else going in there, right? And so I like to ask my clients, like, hey, what's your biggest frustration? They say, oh, I can't get my website to work. Okay, well, why is that bothering you so much? It ends up being a whole nother conversation about how they're frustrated with their job. They might be going through a divorce. They have a toddler. Like it, people just open up. And from there, once they feel safe enough to, I guess, be vulnerable and share those things, tech stuff is easy. We end up talking about ways to like balance it all out, because I don't believe that these things are separate, right? Like how you show up at work, in your business, at home is how you show up. How you do one thing is how you do all things, right? So it's just, we just talk. I encourage talking. And a lot of times if someone isn't like comfortable opening up, I'll share a story, crack a joke, or sing a song. And I can't sing, but music is a very important part of my life, right? So it's like it just becomes, it's like I become their best friend, right? And it's not on purpose, but for whatever reason they feel comfortable opening up. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I've experienced quite a lot in my life. I'm 42 years old, and it's almost like God has a way of saying like, okay, share that story, or like, right? But it always boils back to like just getting people to dig a little deep and be honest about what's really bothering them. Mm-hmm. And then making sure that they know that they're not alone. Like what you're going through is it's just not unique to you. Like you're not alone, especially as a mother. That's how I've been writing poetry since I was a little girl, but it's like therapy for me. It's my way of saying all the things that I might not say in person, or I might not somebody's talking to anybody, but it's like if you read my poems, it's real feelings. So when people started to say, well, I feel those same things when I'm dealing with anxiety, or I felt those same feelings when I was nursing my child, or when I was laid off my job and I didn't know what I was going to do. It's like, for whatever reason, poetry speaks to some people. And so I just that's it in a nutshell. Like even I work full time as a web content administrator, but I'm that person for my coworkers when it's a lot of things going on, they're getting frustrated. I might ping them and say, okay, what's going on? Something's going on. And say, oh, I'm going through this, that, and the other at home. So it's like I'm just a lover of people, and I believe in storytelling and being transparent. It's like I didn't go through what I went through just to go through it. Like I believe I went for a reason. So if I was able to go through something, or I'm still currently going through something, and I share, it's kind of like an opportunity to help one another navigate through life.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that when you share with another individual, do you find that when you're sharing with another individual, it sort of helps you as well?
Every single time. Okay. That's why the YouTube channel started, because I used to have a fear of getting, it's like I have X, Y, and Z, who cares? Or I learned whatever lesson about time management, or I'm going through right now with you met Journey earlier, the stuff I go through with a toddler and working from home. And I don't know if COVID babies are built different, but this one is. And, I'm a mom of 5. So it's like, as I was going through stuff, I'll just record a video and share it and share how I'm getting through it. And people, people will reach out and say, yeah, I tried that, and it helped. I'm like, you actually watched my video? Okay, cool. So it when I share, it helps me, because sometimes I'll go back and rewatch. But it really feels good to know that sharing and being vulnerable helps other people enjoy life a little bit more than they did before they watched it.
All right. And now, welcome to the set. You're another one of your swing sisters. That's Tiffany Hilliard. Hey, Tiffany.
Hello, everyone. Hola, sisters.
Hola, Tiffany.
Hi, y'all gotta excuse me for being tardy. It's snowing down here in North Carolina, so I just got home from work.
Oh
Yes,
no.
yes.
There's some
Yeah.
snow over here in California. It's hot.
Yeah,
Come on
yeah.
over.
I need you to export about 30 or 40 degrees this way, Nikaya.
Right.
Take it.
Yes,
We
send
got
us
too
about
much
30.
with these wildfires. You can take it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Snowing on one side of the country, cold, freezing, and then the California's on fire. So tell me, before I want Tiffany to jump in, I'm not sure whether you read the information on Olivia or not, but she helps out a lot with the community. She has a YouTube channel. She shares her stories and things like that, and it seems to help other mothers because she is a mother. She's a swing, and she's also tell us what's the term that I'm looking for that you do there, Olivia?
What's the
You,
term?
yeah, I mean, what you do professionally every day.
Um, a web content administrator or the creative side? What I said in my bio.
The administrative side.
Yeah, web content. And I work for. I'm a subcontractor for the Children's Bureau. So, if you are familiar with the National Adoption Month website or National Foster Care Month, I do the tech side of that stuff. And it's a different world, especially as a mom, a single mom, a Black woman. It's like in my opinion, it's all a system, but it's like I've been on different sides of the coin, you know. So it's
Mhm.
like, how much impact do I really have on the content that's on the website? And up until today, we had room to say there's not enough Black and brown faces. There's not enough diversity because,
Mhm.
you know, other people want to adopt and need information about adopting. So I took that as an opportunity to say, hey, we could sprinkle some more YouTube videos in here for other, you know, types of family dynamics that want to adopt or, but it's also a government contract, so you do what you can.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Your
still goes
your
back to
screen. I'm gonna ask you to do something for us, Olivia. Your
I'm frozen.
screen. Okay. Your okay. Your screen is locking up on you. So I'm gonna ask you to log out and log back in real quick. Okay. Do that
Okay.
for us. All right. Let's do that. So Tiffany, tell us how are you? Because we missed you. I know you came in. You were in what, week before last, I believe,
I think so.
right after the holidays. You were quite busy during the holidays.
I work. So for those that don't know, I work at Amazon, and we have our peak season.
Peak
And
season. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's when
I know
all
about
y'all
that.
be ordering all them extra stuff, and I got to work mandatory overtime so we can get y'all packages out to y'all. So I have been MIA because I had to work mandatory overtime, and I knew by the time I get home, I was just like, you know what, it's been a long day. So yeah, I've been gone for like a little over a month, but I am back. I'm back and trying to get back in the swing of things and get it swing of things. Just trying to get back into it. But yeah, that's just what I've been up to. Just working. That's it.
Okay. Now, Olivia, you're back. Hopefully, we've corrected that problem there. So, Nakaya, what is it that you would like to ask Olivia?
If you don't mind, Olivia, I have a few questions. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
So I'm intrigued because you are a poet and I am also a fellow poet. I host open mic nights once a month here
Okay.
in the Inland Empire in California. We're actually about to have one this upcoming Saturday to start the new year. So I
Okay.
completely understand what it means to like write poetry, put it out there, and then have people that have some sort of relation to it. I'm a person that likes to do spoken word, and when I'm done, you know, sometimes you get nervous and you're just kind of like, maybe the crowd felt it, maybe not, and then You get some people that are like, no, like I felt every word, like I cried, like on the inside. Like, how did you do that? Wow. So to actually come across another fellow poet, hello. We are very creative and very powerful with our words. So with that being said, I wanted to ask, what is your process like when it comes to writing, and how do you find inspiration for your poetry?
Oh, that's a good question because I don't have one. I'll put it like this. When I'm having a hard time processing something, I have to literally grab pen and paper, and it's kind of like freestyling, right?
Mhm.
Because in the past, when I would communicate with people, it happened to rhyme, and I felt weird. It was like I want to just be able to say this without sounding like a rapper, but that's how my brain works, right?
I
So
always felt like
now,
Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss.
what'd you say?
I said I always felt like rhyming in a sense was like Cat in the Hat or like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Roses are
So
red,
let's say
roses are blue.
exactly. It's like to me, it's easier to communicate in that way. So like, let's say I just wrote a poem yesterday because I said I have a 5-year-old, and it's just a different, it's just different, right? And we just recently moved to Atlanta from the DMV area, and the transition's been a little tough for her. So she's been having temper tantrums, and it was really challenging to get through it because it's like I felt like it was a reflection of me as a mother, right? So yesterday she had a moment, and because I've been working on better ways to respond and support her, I felt like I did a great job, right? But I didn't know how to communicate that. I wanted to share the lesson I learned, but it ended up being a poem called That's a Win, DASSA, That's a Win. It's a short poem that basically said she spazzed out. I didn't match her energy. I didn't yell at her. I didn't cry. That's a win. I let her get it out. I didn't take it personal. That's a win. And at the end, I kind of held her and calmed her down, and she was fine. It's like, wow, like that's a win for both of us, because 3 months ago, I couldn't say that. And I felt like no matter what I did, I took an L. So in order to acknowledge the win, it came out as a poem. And so it's like, for me, poetry it's just like conversations with myself.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
I really don't.
Does make sense.
So I'm inspired by everything: life, love, motherhood, work, and like, so my first book. This is like my first book I put out. It's called Can I curse?
Yes, sure.
Yes, you can.
Let's
I forget I'm grown, but it's called Mom Shit. And these were like, this is like a collection of poems that I wrote during like my toughest times of motherhood. And my oldest is 20. So it's like, I had like, I don't know, maybe 300 poems just sitting in my notes app. And a friend of mine, he was like, so when are you going to publish a book? And I'm like, I don't even know what I would write about. He said, you have enough. So it's about 40 poems, all about mom. So it's, you can't connect with your partner because you have a newborn, or breastfeeding, or I've been through bed rest. I've suffered through loss of a child. Like my son was 18 months old and passed. He was in the hospital, NICU, preemie, like you name it. I feel like I've covered a lot of aspects of motherhood, but my poems, and they're short poems, but people can relate. Some people that aren't even moms, aren't even parents, it's like, wow, I felt every word, but it's just my thoughts. It's just my experiences. Who cares? And my next book I'm working on is going to be called Music Notes because I love music. So it's different poems that may have been inspired by a song. Because I believe that God speaks in many ways, but for me, I'm drawn to music and words, and that's just. I don't know if I answered the question, but I don't.
No, you did. I feel like, in a sense, you freelance off of poetry just because of what you're experiencing. You write it out. It's more of like a conversation with yourself, and before you know it, it becomes an artwork and a masterpiece. So I completely get it. So even though it deeply impacts you, can you tell me about a moment where your poetry deeply impacted someone else?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so I graduated from Bowie, and I don't remember what year, but Floetry performed at Bowie, and I was invited to a poem during the intermission. And I'm not, I read, I don't memorize anything. I'm like, I don't know what I said or wrote, but here we go. This was after my son had passed away, and everyone on campus kind of wondering, like, one day I was pregnant, the next I wasn't, but nobody knew the story. So this was my first time sharing any part of the story with people that didn't know that he had went through everything he went through and he passed away. So it was hard to read, but I'm like, this is me grieving. This is me acknowledging everything I'm feeling. And it kind of answers some questions that's been floating around campus. Like, where's her baby? Because it was all types of rumors. So it was during this concert, right? So after the concert was over, people were coming up to me like crying. And some of my friends who knew, they were like, we didn't even know all of that. And I'm like, it was just cool. But it's like, it was basically like, if you are strong enough to experience that and still show up, work towards your degree, you know, it was just a poem of, yes, it was sad, but it was also, it just showed the strength of a mom, a strength of a Black woman. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you took from it. So that I will never forget that, because it was, to me, it was like that was my son. That was my experience. And yes, it hurt. I got through it, but who cares, right? Because I've seen 10 other moms go through that. You know, some moms took their children home, some didn't. And all I know is that this was my experience, and I don't feel like anybody cares. And it just showed me that I need to do better, think better, because a lot of people cared.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
We'll come back to you then, to Tiffany. Do you think that you've had, or do you know of any cases where you've inspired other writers or people to start writing as a way of exhaling, a way of letting go, and a way of, like you say, you were grieving then, and it seems like, based on what I'm hearing right now, that helped you get through that horrific situation. Have you inspired other writers? Or other people to become writers, rather? Yes, Olivia.
That y'all got some good questions tonight. Y'all making me think over here. But honestly, when I started my YouTube channel, my goal was to get, like, I encourage people somewhere throughout the video to write about whatever the topic is. Like, well, let me back up a little bit. I just recently realized that, and I don't know if this is God ordained, but people trust me with their grief. People that don't know me, right? And they all, like, were all women who were dealing with the loss of a child. Because it's like, it's not supposed to be that way, right? And so they were women who would kind of disappear or isolate and nobody could get through them. But every once in a while, they would reach out and say, I'm having a tough day. And I would encourage them to write a letter to their child. Like, write a letter to your child as if they're still here. What would you say? Because I do it every year on his birthday and the anniversary of his death. I do a poem. I'll do a Facebook post. Sometimes I'll spend time talking to my kids about it. And he passed in 2003. So it's like the bulk of the people that I encourage to write are people who are dealing with grief. Right? Because grief is one of those things that, in my opinion, doesn't have an expiration date. Like, there's no timeline. Like, you get 3 years to grieve and that's it. It's like, no. So, but for me, I think that acknowledging that you feel that way and writing, because it's like this, your child is still watching over you. Your child's your angel. So talk to your angel. Talk like you talking to your friend. So, and I never really shared that with people. Like, I encourage people to write a letter to their child or to whoever they're grieving the loss of. Sometimes I encourage people to write a letter to their inner child, especially like if they're at a point in their life where they're trying to figure out why certain things keep happening or why they move how they move. And it's like, you're still fighting to protect that little girl in you. You need to go and tell her she's safe to come out. I've had burn letter parties or ceremonies where people come and talk about whatever they want to release or whatever, like, I'll just say roadblock they're having. So let's say you want a new job. Right? But for whatever reason, you don't feel confident or capable enough of getting one. So I'll have a burn ceremony where we'll sit and just talk about what's stopping you. What are you telling yourself? What do you need to let go of or eliminate in order to make room for what you're asking God for? And they will talk. And I say, here's pen and paper, write it out, write everything out, everything you want to release. And then at the end, they give it to me. And if it's a group of us, they might say, share it. And I say, okay, I'll read it out. This is the last time we're going to talk about it, think about it, bring it up. And we burn it at the end of the night. And then we talk for maybe 30 minutes about what we want to bring in, manifest. And then they check in after a year and say, girl, I got that job. So, stuff. That's just stuff I do in my everyday life. Like getting over an ex. I'm still harboring resentment because I don't play the blame game. It's like something in me attracted that person. I went through that experience for a reason. Right. I want to have a different experience. So what do I need to eliminate? What do I need to work on? Because that's all I can control. So I might write a letter to that ex and say, you know what? I met at a time when I was vibrating low. I appreciate everything you did for me, or, I appreciate the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I am releasing you from my energy, from my space, and I move on.
Right. Back to Nakia in a second, but you said something, a friend of mine years and years ago said something that I thought was applicable. And he said, pressure busts pipes. And if you don't release, those things that are bothering you, then it could cause a lot of mental stress. I'm going to put it that way, Nakia. And then we go to Tiffany.
Oh, sorry. I was like listening to what you were saying. I was like, crazy. But yes, just pretty much just to summarize everything that you were saying, like pretty much writing is therapeutic. Writing is a stress reliever. Writing helps you get out all of I think of like a diagram where in your mind you have like 3 balls of yarn and they're all tangled up. But when you're writing it out, it slowly starts to unwind and starts to come together. So I just feel like with your writing and actually with the burn ceremonies and kind of other things that you're doing with other people, I think is very impactful because it helps other people process their grievance and any other problems or situations that they're going through in life. And I think that's beautiful. I really do think that's beautiful. It's also, I see it as a form of prioritizing yourself as far as self-care, healing and connecting with yourself and also with loved ones, and having a support group, which I think that is amazing that you're doing. So kudos to you. You keep that going.
Thank you.
What other self-care, I guess you could say, like practices do you encourage others to do as far as self-care and resilience?
I actually just had this conversation with a friend because she said to me, I can't do what you do. And I said, you're not supposed to. You do what you need to do. Like for me, every morning I have to get out in nature and just walk. It's not about weight loss or anything like that, even though I'm trying to do some things, but just taking the time out to connect with nature, look at the sun, look at the moon, depending on the time of day. And I think it's like, as long as I can see the sun, as long as I can see the moon, I know all is well. Because if I wake up and see neither one, then we in trouble, right? But nature works for me. I encourage people to do what works for them. Like some people need to hike or go by the water. They have to be by the water. Some people need to sit by a fireplace. Some people need to light a candle. You know, I tell people all the time, you have to do what's best for you. And if you don't know what that is, it's on you to figure that out.
I hear that.
Because self-care is simply just what you need to do for yourself. What brings you joy? What brings you peace? And it easier said than done when you get caught up in work and kids and all that. Like for me, if I know that I don't have a babysitter, if I don't have a lot of time, I go in my closet, I turn off the light, I close the door, and I light an incense. And I just sit there. I give myself 5 minutes to just be. I don't overthink it. I don't have any motives. Just be present right there with the silence, with the darkness. I get very comfortable with the dark. That's one thing. Now, if I don't have time to do that, I keep my my little earbuds, and for whatever reason, it's this Jay-Z song. It's called "Say Hello." I will play that on repeat to bring myself to the present. I don't know what it is about that song, but if Journey is doing the most and I feel my nerves, I feel myself wanting to spaz, and I'm thinking about work deadlines and I forgot to ship out an order because I make earrings too, like all the things. And I put that one earbud in and I feel like, okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So
that's my music. That's a part of my self-care routine. Music, incense, candles. But I encourage people to figure out what that is for them. And if you don't know what that is, don't be afraid to try what works for someone else to figure out if it may work for you too. You just got to be open to trying new things.
Yeah.
It certainly could. It certainly could. You know, we do a show where I have we're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and in my when I advertised the show, I said music, talk, sports, entertainment, because a lot of people have different interests. And what you're saying is that one thing may work for someone, but something else may work for someone else. And it's like going to a restaurant. What are you hungry for? Some people like to go to the beach. They can relax and exhale that way. We do a lot of music shows now. On Thursdays, we often talk about, for the next 3 hours, let's take your troubles and put it in a little bag, right? Toss it aside. Now, some of us might need a garbage bag. You know, some of us, you know, it just depends on what it is. And we said, just relax for the next 3 hours, kick back, grab a glass. It could be Kool-Aid, it could be lemonade, it could be whatever it is, right? And just enjoy the music. And it kind of lets your mind relax. And I think we need to take time off to let our minds heal a little bit. Tiffany, what's up? What do you got to say, Tiffany?
I am just in awe because you're talking about there are writers in the room on tonight. You guys are poets, and I'm a screenwriter. So I like to write stories,
Mhm.
movie scripts, and a little poetry on the side, but not to that degree. I'm working on it. So it's just really refreshing to meet you ladies and realize that hey, we all got something in common. My question to you is: do you remember the very first poem that you wrote?
Ooh, good question. Wow.
And can you
Dang it.
recite
Absolutely not. Um, I can't remember the first poem I wrote, but I do, and I don't even know if I still have it, but I found this poem I wrote in elementary school and I recited during a, you know how elementary school is. They find a reason to get you on stage. And they framed it for me, but it was talking about, dang, what was I talking about? And it was like an old lady poem, like why is she so young talking about these things? Like it was talking about how much fighting was going on in the world and how we need to be about peace and love. And I promise you, I was probably in like the second or third grade.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's the first poem I can remember, but it's like I gotta find. If I find it, I'm gonna snap a picture and send it to y'all. But it's framed and it looks old. I mean, that was a long time ago. I graduated from high school in 2000. I don't want to think about elementary school, but um, I remember my earlier poems, like before I was a mom, being about um politics and
Mhm.
just the energy of the world. You know, like it's easy to do. Uh, like Black History Month theme poems, but it's like
Mm.
my poems are all about like just considering a different perspective and being responsible for your own energy. And it's like I'm all about peace and love. Like I am a lover. So it's like, what is it going to take for us to figure out how to love each other
Mhm.
and realize that a lot of the problems of the world can be solved by being a little more loving, empathetic, or just dealing with your own stuff, right? And not expecting others to change or be different because you don't agree. Like it's just a lot. It's a lot going on in the world always, and I feel like I live in a bubble. So when I watch the news or um, even listening to like friends talk about relationship stuff, it's like if we all just step back and work on ourselves
Mhm.
or take the time to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you realize we all want the same thing.
Mhm.
We all want the same thing. So I feel like my earlier poems were more world related and then later on became more personal, but it's still the same thing. Love, life, hurt, anger, all that stuff. So
That's life.
I
That's
gotta
life.
find that poem now. Oh,
Mm.
it? He's on a hunt.
I
Oh,
gotta
Mm.
this it is wonderful, and you are so right. Again, I know I'm being redundant, but we have to have an outlet, a way to release, and something you said earlier too is talking to someone. Now, let me put a caveat to that.
oh, make me cry. Sorry.
Make sure that who you're talking to, it has a good vibe. Okay, that you're about to say something that has a good vibe because everyone doesn't have your best interest at heart. So you have to be careful who you talk to. And all of us have talked to people and we've confided in them about certain things. The next thing you know, you heard it from someone else. Okay, so you have to be very careful about who you talk to. Be careful about what you put in that computer up there. Like I said, I love good music. I love
Yeah.
poetry. As a matter of fact, I used to write poetry myself. Uh,
Mhm.
and so I haven't written in a while. And I recall feeling lost because my book of poetry got lost. I trusted it with a friend, and supposedly she left it on an airplane. Okay.
Oh no. Someone has your
230,
book and they kept it.
230 pages.
Ooh,
Okay.
ooh,
And
ooh, that hurts.
doesn't it? It doesn't. And so I'm not making an excuse for not writing, but I do write down if I have an idea, or I might hear a song or something like that, or I hear um, a song, and I might just start writing, you know. But I didn't have it as organized. I don't have it as organized as I do now because I'm doing some other things. But that is a great outlet. Comedy is great. Love laughing, you know. Love reading good stuff, being around great people. The energy that you take in has to make a difference one way or the other, right? And
Yeah.
depending on who you associate yourself with. Nakaya, then let's come back to Tiffany.
Yes. Oh, I can ask another question. Oh, yay. Sorry, I sat back for a minute. I was like, all right, now.
That's one of the
Um,
things. That's one of the great things you do best.
I actually did have a question. I had written it down as everyone was talking. Sorry. Oh, yes. We was just like really just talking about your creativity, and I love it. And then you also, I'm just listening to you. I just realized like how the entrepreneur you are. Like you are a web content administrator. You are a poet. You are an author of poems. You have one that's coming out, and then you make earrings. So how do you balance your creativity and logic when it comes to like solving problems for your clients?
I don't listen. I'm going to try to sum it up because I think that I never really considered myself as an artist until people kept calling me one, and I'm like, I my thing is I just do insert whatever task I'm doing. So I will say that every business endeavor that I have was born from necessity or survival. Okay. So poetry, well, I spent a lot of time alone, and I was the oldest child, and I was pretty much like caretaker for my siblings. Like that's a whole nother story. You go on YouTube, watch every video, you be like, oh, okay. But I didn't have people that I trusted, or I felt like people wouldn't understand. So I wrote poetry,
Mm.
right? For myself. Now,
It was your outlet.
right. So when I graduated from high school, my grandfather said, what are you going to study in college? You either go to college, you can be a teacher, or you can go in the military. I said, well, I don't want nobody yelling at me. I'm not trying to do the military. I don't necessarily want to work with kids or be in school. I just spent a lot of time in school. So I'm just going to go to college. And I went in undecided. And I actually I was open to being an English teacher. And one of my professors at Bowie, I think we had to do a paper about why we love living in the US. And at the time I didn't.
Oh.
And that's a whole nother conversation. She was from the UK. And she said, she read my paper, and she said, she gave me a D on my paper because she said that she didn't like my opinion. And I said, grammatically, it was fine.
That's
You
right.
but she told me I was a terrible writer.
Oh no.
And I switched my major from English to computer science after a conversation with my grandfather. He was like, focus on getting the money. And I was pretty good with math and problem solving, you know. So I studied computer science. And while I was pursuing my degree, I was doing natural hair on campus. I worked in a salon. Like I did a lot because I did have a passion for doing hair as well, but it was also an opportunity to connect with people.
Mhm.
Because people would just share everything, and I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do about it? Let's talk about, you know. So when I graduated and went into corporate, I hated it. It was good money, but I hated it. And people would come up to me and say, "Oh, I love your hair. I love your locks." I was doing hair consultations in the bathroom on my lunch break. So when it got to a point where I didn't want to do corporate anymore, I think I wanted to work remote, and they told me I couldn't. I'm like, well, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. No job lined up.
Mhm.
And at this point, my daughter's 20 now. My oldest daughter was like 1. My son had passed. I'm like, I'm a whole mama out here. I have rent to pay. What I'm gonna do? Well, I started doing hair
Mhm.
because I needed the money.
Okay.
And so I did hair, and I married my ex-husband's a groove. I was telling you about him. He's a groove. So we were living down here in Atlanta, and found out we were expecting, and the doctor said bed rest, no more hair.
Mm. Now what do you do?
Well, now what I'm gonna do, right? So someone randomly reached out to me and asked to do a website for a nonprofit. So I did that from bed, and I was bored. And my grandfather taught me how to do macrame and knitting. So I'm like, you know what? I need some yarn and some plastic canvas from Michael's to keep me busy.
Mhm.
So I was in bed making earrings, and I'd take a picture, post it on social media, and they're like, how much? And I'm like, I don't know. And I built that business from bed, and then when it was time to go back and do hair, I had my little earring display. People buy just out of necessity, right? And I told you my ex-husband was a comedian, so we would have events at the house where I would do poetry, talk to people. My sister was a chef, a vegan chef. She would do stuff. He would do comedy. And then when we were down here, one of my good friends, she used to work for CNN. She asked us if we wanted to get on CNN and talk about Black men battling depression, so we did that, right? And so, like, because of that, people would just open up to me and talk to me about depression. I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. But I realized through my experiences, I knew more than what, So at one point I said, maybe I'll do life coaching, but I was too scared to do that. I'm too scared to say, hey, people, I'm available for you, because I don't want to let anybody down. And I don't want to be responsible for someone's life, but it's like, what do I know? It's just me. So I shied away from it. When my ex-husband and I decided to split, and we're still the best of friends, I said, I'm done with hair. I'm done with people. I'm done with these earrings. I'm done with all of it. I'm going back into corporate. I'm starting over. And I jumped back into corporate and said, I'm leaving all this creative stuff behind because I don't want to do it. My cup was empty. I'm just going to focus on my money, my kids, get through this divorce, to figure out how to. And I didn't see myself as an artist. I was just.
What brought you back to your creative side? What brought you back?
Life. Life. Yeah. So when my ex-husband and I decided to split, I was renting a room in a friend's house, and there was another guy renting a room, and he invited me to go out for a hookah or something. I was like, okay. But one night he just opened up and shared his whole life story, and I'm like, why are you telling me this? And I just couldn't let go of his story. I'm like, I got to do something with this. So we went out for hookah that night, and he played a song. It's a foreign exchange song called Come Around. And I'm like, somebody else knows about foreign exchange? And in the hookah spot, I just started writing. Okay, we're going to talk. I just started writing on a napkin. And he was like, "You write poetry?" I said, "Yeah." I haven't written in a while because it's probably a lot of stuff I don't do it anymore. And he was like, "Nah, I think you should." Right? He was like, "So just send them to me." So I started sending him my poems. He was like, "Yo, you're dope." And he started writing in response to,
Right.
to whatever I wrote. And he wasn't a poet at first. And I'm like, wow. And then he was like, "Well, get on stage." And so he helped me believe in myself again. Right? I'm seeing a pattern here now that I'm sharing it.
Oh, that's powerful.
I'm seeing a pattern here now that I'm sharing it. But I even took a break after that. I stopped. He and I ended our friendship, and I wasn't prepared for that. I entered a new relationship, and I was too afraid to write my poems because they're very personal. And my partner at the time was like, "Is that poem about me?" And I got scared, and I'm like, "I'm not writing again." But I would write, I wouldn't share it. And then it was in June, actually. I think
This past June?
I shared a random Instagram story. I was like, I wish I could just share my poems openly. I was terrified. I didn't want to hurt anybody, or I didn't want people in my business. I'm like, this is my real life. And a friend I've known since middle school, hadn't talked to him over the years, but we reconnected. He said, "You can send them to me." And I was like, "You actually want to read them?" I said, "Yeah." So I would just send them poems. And he's the same person that said, "So when are you going to publish your book?" I'm like, "You think I can?" He's absolutely. Put it in a book. I mean, it took, I think I put the poems together because I had like 800 poems. 800 in my notes app. And I took 40 of them. I'm like, this is all related to Mom. Went in Canva, created the cover and everything, and was terrified to actually tell the world that it was available because I was scared. I'm like, if you read some of these poems, people are going to say, "Oh, well, that's about her ex-husband, or that's about that child, or that's about her other partner," and this, I'm like, I had to stop caring because it's like there was nothing bad said. It was just my experience. And then same thing with the YouTube channel. Like, I'm like, dang, I can't do that. I can't get in front of camera and talk about my life. The same friend said, "Yes, you can."
Yeah, you're doing it right now.
Right? Look, YouTube helped me because I was afraid to be me. That's it. I was just afraid. So I think in the moments when I really needed an angel or someone, I needed to lean on someone else's faith, belief in me to, just a little bit, just so you can do it. It's like, you know what? That's all I need.
Right.
Same thing now. I was, hey, sis, you want to be on the radio? For what? And talk about what?
Talk about you.
Talk about what?
That's
Okay,
good.
sure. Well, what date? This date work for you? Sure. I don't even know what I'm gonna talk. So it's like I have.
Wow.
I used to have a plan for my life because I'm a very logical. I'm a problem solver. This entire season has been about surrender and trust. Like God is like, I got you. Keep talking to me. I got you. You might not be able to talk to that person anymore because they're still trying to get you to be the old Olivia that's scared to blink. So I've just learned how to say yes and just remain open. And it's still kind of like, I won't say nerve-wracking, but it's still kind of like amazing. Like, y'all just don't know how grateful I am because I'm like, I I just launched this book in November. I just did the YouTube. Like, this is new stuff.
Yes,
Right?
this is real cool. This is real
And
cool.
this is stuff that I help people do for free. Like, people were like, girl, I need to get out of this job. Well, let's talk about it. What are you good at? Okay, well, you can monetize that, or you ever thought about doing this, or you like teaching dance? Okay, I can do it for other people. When it comes to me, it's like just being too afraid to get it wrong, or thinking that people, who cares?
Wow.
And I'm learning that me just being willing to listen and be a safe space and ask for permission to speak freely is usually enough, because I hear a lot of things and see a lot of things, but it's like I'm not just about to, but if you come to me and say, I just need a friend, like, I got you. But I realized that in the 6 or 7 years where I wasn't doing a lot of creating or being of service to people, I had to learn how to take care of my self-care. And I had to learn how to let go of whatever I just took in. So I have clients. I remember their son was in the hospital 10 years ago. And I'm like, how's your son doing? You remember that? Why do I remember that? Why am I holding on to all this stuff?
Wow.
And
I'm sorry. No. Well, I can't believe we only have 3 minutes left, but I have this question. Then I'm going to toss it over to Tiffany and then back to Nakaya. Let's talk about the dichotomy between fear and belief. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because fear can cripple you, but belief can heal you or bring you out of that and have you to do things that you didn't think that you were capable of. How did you come to the place that you say, I can do this?
Took somebody else to say you can do it, and it's like, I can at least try. I can at least try. And it's that first step that creates the momentum. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not always super confident or I'm full of faith. But I'm learning that if I don't give myself an opportunity to face that fear,
that's right,
it's going to always be a fear. Fear wins. It's like, you got to at least try. It's either going to be a win or a lesson. There are no negative experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are no losses. It's a lesson. Divorce, a lesson.
There's an old saying that nothing beats a failure but a try.
Gotta
Get
try.
out there and do it, and you find out, hey, this isn't so bad.
And I find that it's almost like God sit back and say, what you gonna do?
I gave you this gift, didn't I?
What you gonna do? I'm not asking you to know how to do all of it. I'm asking you to just take one step. If you can take that one step and trust me just a little bit, what's it, mustard seed faith? I got you. And for me, it's like, all right, well, let's do it together. Let me tell you how to do it. No. That's not how it works. All I ask you to do is take a step, write the poem.
Write it.
Now write another one. Now write another one, another. Put it in a book. How am I gonna sell it? You make websites, genius.
Come on.
Put it on your website. Oh, okay. One step. God be like, I got you.
Wow. Tiffany?
Oh my goodness. Tonight, it has been such a wonderful conversation, because honestly, for me, hearing you speak is nothing but confirmation. Like, what you've been saying on tonight is nothing but confirmation, because remember I told you that I'm a screenwriter, so I like to write stories. So me and a coworker, we was just having a conversation like yesterday, and he was saying, "Oh, well, God is asking you, well, what you doing with the gift?" Because he's like, if you're not using your gift, that's like a slap to his face. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And he was stepping all on my toes. I was like, yeah, you're right. He was like, you told me last year you was going to do X, Y, and Z. And we're still having the same conversation. I said, yeah, I said, I'm making progress, baby steps or whatever. So again, I feel like, we have a lot in common, because I would go as far as to say you're an overthinker, aren't you?
As of today, no, I'm no longer claiming it, but yeah, I am. And
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation, because it was revealed to me that my overthinking is leading me down a dark alley when God already gave me this whole big path to follow. And I'm like, no, I want to go down there, because logically that makes more sense. It's ain't about logic.
Right. And so it's crazy. It's just, another saying is faith over fear. We see it on the pants and the tops, faith over fear. And I mean, like I said, man, tonight is nothing but confirmation, the stuff you was talking about, and so thank you so much for that. You never know. See, you didn't know what you was gonna say tonight. But,
I sure didn't. And now I'm like, we need to connect, because my question to you is, okay, so what's the first step you need to take? What's the first step?
See, I know what I need to do. I know, and it's nothing but writing. That's it. It's just the writing. And like you said, I could talk people through stuff, but when it comes to myself, I hold myself back for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like I
You said it. You overthinking it. It's what if people don't understand what I'm writing? What if people don't care? What if I fail? You're gonna learn a lesson. What if it goes well?
That part.
That's right.
That part.
What if it works?
Yeah.
Amazing. I have your information up there, Olivia. Okay, how people can contact you. All right. And so for those who are listening, because some of our listeners there on the website, or their which isn't video right now, that will be later. And some people are listening to via the app or Alexa. So would you tell them tell them about your website? How can they reach you, for those who aren't listening via LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook?
Absolutely. So you can reach me on Instagram at Olivia B. Moore. You can find me on YouTube, Olivia B. Moore. On my website, which will point you to all of those places, is oliviabmore.com.
oliviabmore.com. Okay. All right. Let's see. Nakaya, you got the last word.
All right. I won't take too much of your time. I just wanted to share just a few quotes in the story. So back in COVID, I want to say around 2020, around 2021, there was a versus between Erykah Badu and Jill Scott.
Yes.
And Jill Scott said that she had poetry and songs that she had written, but she was so scared to put it out into the public. She was scared and had that fear that people were going to judge. Erykah Badu told her, the moment that you write it on paper, it's no longer yours. It's for the audience. It's for the world to hear. So with you having over 200 poems, I need you to understand that they're no longer yours.
Not mine no more.
They're for the world to hear. With fear, I feel like it's something that it's a problem that is misunderstood, but is never going to happen. We have all of these overthinking situations where like it might happen like this, it could fail, it could do that, it could that. What if it actually works?
Yes.
Now, I'm speaking to myself on this too, because I have been told that I should write a poem book.
Come on now.
Do it. So I do need to connect with you and figure out your process.
Absolutely.
because I think it's amazing that you had all. I have poetry from high school. I literally have in my drawer right now since high school. My very first one I still have to this day. So that's a plethora of poetry that I have all the way up until now. I see my growth. I'm doing spoken word now where I don't need a book or paper. I can speak poetry to you right now and just talk with my hands. So I need to put that on paper and I need to share it with the world. So you have inspired me. I want to say thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. Your poem is your old poem is somebody's new lesson.
Mm-hmm.
High school or not, somebody needs to hear that right now. I'm a mom of teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Or people who need to do some inner child work. That is a right now thing. So don't overthink it. Just throw it in a book and tweak it later.
That's right. There's power in belief. There's power in belief. Hey, trust me on
we
that.
definitely got to connect. Ooh,
Yep, and you've got to come back.
I'll get you on Instagram. I'll send you a message.
Okay.
Okay. And wow, you've inspired a lot of people, even on this panel right here. So this has been amazing, Olivia. Thank you.
I'm gonna cry off camera. I refuse to give y'all some tears tonight.
Let it go, girl. Let it go.
I'm gonna cry because let me tell you, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity, and it has definitely given me more courage to just show up and not overthink it, and that there are people who care and can take this one thing and live their best lives or live a better life because something I said, one thing. And so it's like that alone, I'm just like so grateful for. So it's probably going to be a YouTube video tomorrow about this. That's how I create my videos. I don't plan anything, but I'm grateful. Like y'all don't know how
you
much.
Can have this. You can definitely have this. Go to Studio W The Buzz. Studio W The Buzz. It will be on the website tomorrow evening. That's Studio W .buzz. Studio W .buzz. Again, you have to come back because you've inspired many tonight, and this is absolutely
anytime.
Tiffany, Nakaya, Olivia, thank you, girls. Thank you so much. You ladies, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, ladies.
Hey, have a good night, everyone. All right.
You too.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. All right. Let's